Happy Saturday. You know what that means? It means another chatty coffee date. So get yourself a cup of coffee or whatever it is that you're drinking. I've actually got iced tea today. And let's sit down and answer your questions that you guys have. I love this. It's a time of just raw, honest conversation between a couple of friends. So get comfy, let's sit down and get chatting.
So we were conversating about parasocial relationships and how some YouTubers, when they say, hey, leave me a comment, reply, ask me anything, they do not mean it. They are trying to strike up engagement. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the first 101 of YouTube, how to make money kind of thing.
Right.
And we were talking that's the parasocial relationship of YouTube, that the YouTuber wants the person, their viewer, to become their friend, but then the YouTuber doesn't have any investment in that actual friendship. Where we were talking that when you say, hey, comment, write out, have questions for me, you genuinely mean it. I want to answer your questions. I want you to ask me things so that I can engage with you and then determine what people need of me. Not let me dictate everything due to one person. Let me change everything because one person said something online. It's not that. It's more like, oh, I hear a large cry for this.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't this being addressed? If I'm hearing all of these women cry out that they need this, why isn't it ever being addressed? And you're like, oh, well, I guess I could address that. I had to deal with that. I'm a woman. I dealt with that. I have words. I'm through it now. And you're like, I can share my words. And then you do. So it's not a parasocial relationship necessarily, that one-sided internet-y thing. It's more like a two-sided relationship where you comment, they comment, you comment, they comment, but yours is just video instead of typing.
Right. Well, I think that is so important because it's, most of the times when you hear those comments, it's, I need the algorithm to pick up the engagement. I need the algorithm to pick up that people want to be here and they want to share and they want to connect and they want to do that. I don't actually want to talk with you about that. It's nice to hear what you have to say and get some feedback and whatever. Like, that's great. But my goal here is the engagement in my video and hitting the algorithm and finding those good spots and making all of that happen. And you're right. There is such a big difference. If our goal here was the algorithm, well, we've basically just been a failure for 5 years because we've never like that's just not there's things that I try to do because it would only make sense to make sure that you are hitting the qualifications so that your stuff can go out and you can connect with people. But the goal here has never been, I want to be a YouTuber who makes $1 million. That's not it. That's not my goal. And again, if that's my goal, then I'm a huge failure because that's not at all what we've done. But the goal is to connect with people and to serve. It's ministry. And so there's just that big difference of, like, I do want to know what your questions are. I do want to know what you're struggling with, because if there's something that we can do or share, I know not many people are willing to be vulnerable and to stand up and be transparent and be like, oh yeah, I'm really awful at this. And this is what I do to try to get through it or to get better or whatever. Like, I know that's not something that most people want to do, but if we can do that and it serves you and it shows you through, our transparency, where our struggles and problems and, whatever it might be and how we're coping with them or figuring them out. Like, if that can point you to Christ and point you to what you are trying to do in that too, then yeah, let's do that. That's fantastic. I think so anyways, even if it's weird and not the norm and not that everybody, and even people who do it, like, I don't think they do it to be like mean or something. Again, it's just that goal. The goal is, I need the engagement. I need the connection. Like, I'm trying to grow my channel here. It's a business. YouTube is a business. And for some people, that's fine. That's great. But Um, while there's aspects of business that obviously we have to take into account doing YouTube, we tell people that. Everybody comes to me and they say, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. It's like, get ready to work. I mean, even if you're just doing it as a side thing, like it's not your big deal, you're not doing all the algorithm things, it's still like a disciplined like thing that you have to do. And, but at the same time, if I say, hey, how do you feel? Or what's your question? Or is there something I can help with? I'm meaning it. I'm asking you as a person, can I serve you? Is there something I could do that would be a help or benefit to you? I want you to show up here every day because it helps, right? It encourages you, it equips you, it does something positive for you. That's why I hope you show up here, and why you want to share it with your friends and you want to engage and leave comments and do that is because it's truly benefiting you. If it doesn't benefit you, then don't hang out here, right? Like, I'm not trying to hold you captive. Like, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I hope it truly benefits you. And so that's why you're here, and that's why you comment, and that's why you engage and you do the different things, and you join us for co-op and you join us for church or whatever it may be, because it actually like benefits you. It does something for you. I want you to be getting stuff out of this, not me having my ego blown up or something. But
well, it is how you and I met.
It is. Yes, it's exactly how we met.
It all started with some comments on YouTube.
And I thought your comments were the best comments in the whole wide world. And they were so thoughtful. And I would read them out loud to the whole house. I was like, you guys, this one person, what was like your name? Like, your name on it was different. It wasn't even just your name, right? It was the thing. We don't have to say it, but it was just that. And I would be like, oh, this person. And then you sent me an email, and I read that out loud to the house and was like, oh my gosh, you guys know that really nice lady on YouTube who comments to us? She sent us an email. And then now it's 5 years later.
Now look at us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why have we decided to do Q&As verbally or video wise instead of doing it only in the comment section?
So I was sharing with you the other day, because you helped me with all of this stuff, and I'm so thankful to have great friends. And I felt really, really bad because you messaged me, I think just like a simple good morning, how's your day? Like, just very, very nice, whatever. And I essentially word vomited all over you, all kinds of stuff. And then I felt really, really bad. And I said, I am so sorry. I'm having a lot of feelings right now, and I'm a little overwhelmed, and I don't really know what to do with them. And I didn't mean to just like dump all of that in our first interaction of the day. Good morning. How are you? I hope you had a nice night, whatever. Like, I should have started with that. But what I noticed was that we did not expect to go from this like 0 to 100 over like a 3-week period, which we've shared before. So I've been doing these Q&As. Very thankful for it. It's wonderful. And so much good has come out of it. But the responsibility and weight and even just workload behind the scenes has like tenfold increased. And I was noticing that my kind of normal routine of how I did things just isn't working. And I was very honest to say that I used to be super girl boss. I used to have a business and do all the things. And it was a huge heart issue that I worked through when getting out of that. And it's really easy to think that you've tackled your heart issues when the source of the thing has gone away and you don't have to deal with it anymore. So then all of a sudden, when this like, I have to be highly efficient, I have to tackle all the things, I have to do all the stuff, like all the people are here and they need all the different things. Like, it was like that green-eyed monster just came roaring back at me. And so these normal things that I was doing, like usually every morning, I check my phone first thing in the morning. Is there anything I missed overnight? Anything I need to address or deal with? Well, I was noticing that we would have days where my husband and my kids would constantly be asking me, what is wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean, what is wrong with me? I'm fine. Like, why would something be wrong with me? Like, I'm obviously okay. But they kept asking me that. And then I really had to stop and think about it. And what I was noticing is I'd wake up first thing in the morning, get up, get ready, check my phone. And it's the comments are overwhelmingly positive, but you still get all of these negative ones. And so waking up first thing in the morning and having people saying awful things about you and just railing you for this or that or whatever, or just fighting you with like biblical ignorance that makes me crazy. I was like internalizing all of that because I'm not a very emotionally expressive individual. I was internalizing all of that and like carrying it with me. So when I first said good morning to my husband, when I first said good morning to my kids, I was already like holding this all inside of me of like, this person's saying this person's saying this person's saying this. Like, I'm just over here going, how do I tackle this? How do I do this? Da, 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 all of these things kind of popping around. And then I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is clearly not working. Number one, I'm taking all of this stuff off of my phone. I don't want to see it first thing in the morning. I don't want to wake up and just, it's all over my phone. It's just, I turn it on, I swipe up, and that's what everything is. I don't want to see that. But I want to connect, right? That was why we were just talking about all of that. I want to connect. I want to be there. I want to hear the questions. I want to talk with people. And I've shared with you, the past couple of weeks, we've talked about this. I'm sitting up for hours upon hours. My husband's helping me for hours upon, like we're trying to get a response back to everyone because I care. And I know you guys are so kind and so precious and you're like, it's okay. You don't have to give everyone a response, but like, I genuinely am grateful for you. I genuinely want to talk with you about it. I think you have a great point or a great question. Like, I want to do that with you. Like, I enjoy that. That's what makes this fun. I don't want it to be a one-sided, like, as one person told me, I just prance around in front of the camera. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. So if you think I'm prancing, like, I'm not, I don't prance. But I like to be here and I like to connect with you and to do that. And I also felt like, well, it's one thing to scroll through and kind of peek at comments, leave some hearts, things like that. I think there's some great conversations and some great points. And so doing more with that, it was like, okay, I'm addressing very quickly that I see myself going to some places that I shouldn't be. And I have to hit the brakes and say, that is not what the Lord calls us to do. And so I have to make changes. I have to make sure that my heart's in check, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And when I run into these things that maybe they used to work, me checking comments and responding to everyone and doing all of that, like maybe that used to work, but it's not right now in this season. So how do we still meet the heart of the matter, the root of it, which is like us literally connecting? I want to answer your questions. I want to talk about these things. You took the time to watch my video and to ask a question. I want to have a conversation with you about it. I mean, those of us who are in Christ, we're going to be spending eternity together. Why not get some time together now? Like, that's fantastic. So I've stayed away from comments. And this was a great way that, Sabrina, with your help, you gathering them for me and us being able to sit down and do this. I think it's far better, and it's a lot nicer to be able to, sure, they're a little more long-winded, but it's nice to be able to give you an answer and not just a quick little, you know what I mean? Because I'm having to like just scroll through real quick and just type really fast answers. But I feel like that's not fair to you because, you guys are asking great questions. I want to give you a thorough answer. So I like doing this. I don't know. I think, we kind of talked about the idea of doing some like more things in our membership group, doing lives and doing live Q&As and things like that. I think there's some really fun stuff that we can do that we're looking at hopefully for this next month. So, definitely everybody stay tuned because I love this. And I think this is great. And it's really important to us that we're building up community, but not that one-sided, I just want to have community so the algorithm really likes me and shares my stuff to everyone. I want us to have community because we're sisters in Christ and we're families in the Lord. And like, I want us to have true community. So what can we do to be, a step to facilitate that? I guess is my very long answer. So we asked you guys to leave comments. If you had a comment, we said, put a little coffee cup. Well, first I said plant, and then I felt really silly because I've been calling these chatty coffee dates. So you should put a coffee cup if you have a question that you want answered in a chatty coffee date. So I should have thought that through. So going forward, if anybody ever has a question they want answered in one of these videos, just put a little coffee cup next to it. And we know this is a chatty coffee date question that you want to have answered. So that's what we're going to answer.
So to put things in priorities order, you can't spend as much time on all the comments, but you want to get to all of them.
I really do.
Okay. We're going to get to the coffee.
Yeah.
I absolutely think that putting a lot of effort into your answers is something that you do. You put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into how you go about answering it. And I think that that's really worth putting out there so that other people can get a fuller understanding of what you're trying to do, not just that little thing you saw that, I didn't like that.
Right.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read the comment in its entirety.
Okay, go.
Cups first.
Coffee cups first.
First, thank you for sharing your wisdom and understanding. I would love to know how you instill gentleness, kindness, and harmony within siblings.
So, great question, because I actually texted Sabrina shortly before this video and said, sorry for the delay. I'm dealing with unkind siblings. That literally just happened an hour ago, maybe. So a couple things here. One, I did do a video on sibling relationships that Sabrina can make pop up here or down there or wherever it is that we make it pop up. Because I did do a video on that where we do talk about it a little bit more. But I think it really comes down to this. We are all sinful human beings. None of us are perfect, even our kids. Okay. So when I see unkindness, I try to come at it in a grace-filled way, knowing that I do the same thing. They're sinful, fallen human beings in need of a savior, just like I am. If I'm just going to get angry at you and mad at you for treating, your sibling wrong, I'm essentially kind of just continuing what's wrong here. Like we're off kilter here. The next thing would be to figure out the root. Why? Why is there unkindness? What is the issue? For us, our third child and fourth child, from the time of birth, have always had this thing. Our third was the baby for like 6 years. And then all of a sudden one day she wasn't the baby anymore. So even 5 years later, we still I don't know. It's so weird because they still will butt heads with one another, like none other in our household. Like the dynamic between the two of them, sometimes they're fantastic. But if ever there's an opportunity for two of them to butt heads, it's those two. It's so weird. Maybe this happens in every house and I just don't know it because I just finally had 3 girls. I don't know. But between the 2 youngest girls, they do this. And we have to stop and figure out what the root is. Why are we doing this? What is the problem? What's causing this? Because if I just want to attack the surface level and never get to the root, nothing is ever going to change. And the next aspect to that is in our house, we don't have many rules per se. And maybe that's something we could do a video on if you guys had questions about our household rules or how we do it or something. But, again, just let us know. I don't know if that would be helpful, but we have a no nonsense policy when it comes to having bad sibling relationships. What I mean by that is my husband is the youngest of 5 kids, 6 kids, 5 kids. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. And what's crazy is I can't think about it because they are the most disconnected siblings in the whole wide world. I can't think of the last time. We've talked with them. We kind of see one of them. there's one brother and his wife, they're amazing. The other ones are kind of just always off the map. Some of them are just straight up awful to one another. I mean, it's horrible. And he grew up that way. He was born, he's got a big age gap. His siblings were all teenagers when he was born, and, they all split the moment they could. And so he basically was kind of like an only child, but he has like no sibling relationships. So to him, it's a huge deal that like, we will not be that way. Our children will not end up like their aunts and uncles, like in the way they are. And so we've always just really had this no nonsense policy of like, hey, that's not okay. Treating your sibling poorly is never okay. There's no leniency in that. Now we respond in a grace-filled way and things of that nature, but it's never okay. And what I mean in that is that it always gets addressed. I think that's another part of it. I think little things happen and sibling relationships aren't being nurtured, and we kind of just let it go on because it's, well, they're just getting older. Well, they just have their own friends, or, well, we have these things, and sure, they're individuals, but that relationship with one another, their service to one another, their love and care and just being there for one another, like, that's a priority, and that's there regardless. Our 18-year-old has an amazing relationship with his 5-year-old sister, because you being older, you having your own thing, or you whatever, like, that was never an excuse for not nurturing that relationship with your sister, not being there for her, not allowing her to be there with you. Like, age gaps and things like that have never been an okay excuse in our home to kind of like, okay, well, you're just little, you're bothering me. Sure, do things happen sometimes and the little one can't physically do what the older ones are doing? Like, sure, that happens, but we still try to do all that we can to include, or, kind of work with it so that she's not just kind of stranded, out there. So I think it really is responding to it in grace, figuring out the root. Why is that happening? And then honestly, just having a no nonsense policy when it comes to treating one another poorly. It's just not okay. It cannot happen. End of discussion. And our kids know that. So they see something, they're like, we may have squabblings and disagreements. And I, because why I was late and why I text you, because I was late getting into our class before this, because I was dealing with kids. I say, guys, this is your one chance. I come out here again and you both know that you're done. I mean, you will be grounded from everything. You will be able to do nothing other than sit here and hold one another's hands for the rest of the week if we don't get it together. I tell them that. I go, you convince me that you two are best friends if you want to remain with the privileges you currently have. Because if I'm not convinced that you are truly treating each other as best friends, then you're done. Because this isn't okay. And it seems to work. So
I can picture you doing all of those things to your poor children.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's literally how it goes in our house.
I could see you guys doing all of those things. Mm-hmm. Okay, very different topic again.
Okay.
But it's another coffee cup question.
Coffee cups.
What do you feed your dogs? I really want to start feeding my 4-year-old Dachshund a raw meat diet, but researching through, I feel so overwhelmed. It goes on, but I know you have very specific ideas about diets and what animals should and can eat.
So I went down the rabbit hole of what we were feeding our dogs. I don't know, 5, 6, 7-ish years ago, maybe longer. I actually don't know. It's been a while. I went for a while where I love that our coffee cup questions can be this random too. Like, I love this. I think this is fantastic. So great questions. Like, and I genuinely mean this. I know, Sabrina, you know this, but I am not there's no question you can ask me that I don't find offensive. Like, if you're meaning it to be offensive, then obviously it's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that just to try to be mean? But I am probably the most laid back person when it comes to being asked questions, genuinely. Because I just don't want to be weird about stuff. I started researching this and I started making my own dog food for a while. And it was such a production. I mean, our house would smell weird. I would like make all kinds of stuff and do this whole thing. The whole kitchen would be taken over for like a day every couple weeks for like my dog food production. It was kind of crazy. And it worked. And I mean, it was better than what we were feeding them and whatever. I felt passionate about it. But then I started looking at this and I'm like, how do they eat in the wild? Like clearly there's no lady out in the wilderness like creating this, food for them. How is it that they eat? And so I stumbled upon raw food diet for dogs. And to me, the more I learned about feeding our dogs raw meat with bone, like everything all in together, just made so much sense. And of course, most people get freaked out at, no, they can't have bones. They can't have cooked bones. Cooked bones splinter. Raw bones are good for them. Go look at any wild dog. Go look at any coyote, wolf, fox. I mean, you go through anything. What are they eating? They're eating organs, they're eating meat, they're eating bone, they're eating tendon. They also forage, learning that dogs are scavengers. That's why like our dogs right now are Great Pyrenees. They are stripping our blackberry bushes clean because they love going and picking blackberries off the vine. It's hilarious because they're like 5-month-old puppies. They're not little because they're huge already. They're massive, but you watch them, they put their little puppy faces up into the blackberry vines and they're getting poked in the face and they still just keep biting. They're like, ooh, yummy, ooh, yummy. And then you watch their faces, they get poked every time, but it's so cute to watch them like scavenge around and like find the little things that they find. And so we started with our bigger dogs. We feed them, we go with chicken just because it's the most accessible, most cost-effective thing for us. Sometimes we fed them chicken that's chicken we raised. We've butchered roosters and use roosters. We butcher and process the roosters and feed that to the dogs. But most of the time it's just bought. We do whole leg quarters for our big dogs and then just the drumsticks for our small little dash hounds. I actually have a video that we could link when we first got our dash hound puppies, what I was feeding them. And I did some like ground meat, fresh eggs. I mean, even just a regular egg, you don't even have to cook it. Giving eggs to dogs is really good. And I would make that up for the puppies when they were little because we started all of our puppies on a raw food diet from the beginning. But yeah, we just feed our dogs once a day. The big dogs get the leg quarters, the little dogs get the drumsticks. And then we saw amazing health results, just night and day difference in doing that. It takes them a while to build up their muscles so that they can eat. And we even had my brother-in-law moved out here for a while and brought his dog that was like on death's door. And I started his dog on a raw food diet right away and was like, nope. And it gave that dog like a new lease on life. It was amazing to see the difference between kibble fed his whole life to going to a raw food diet. So I believe in it 100%. We just do straight chicken, bone-in chicken, as we have like, if we have leftover meat or things around the house that aren't getting used, we'll feed that to them. And when I'm at the store periodically, I will grab some organ meat. They love the chicken paws. We kind of do different things here and there as I in our budget can afford it and pick them up and give it to them. I'm not I'm not really super scheduled with anything in my life, but especially not the dog's food. So yeah, I do bring in organ meat, but for me, I'm just kind of loosey-goosey with it. Whenever I remember or I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do that. And I pick up some liver or some chicken hearts or whatever it is that we have. But yeah, we just feed them that. We have a little mini fridge we keep outside that we keep the dog chicken in. And one girl feeds the bigger dogs, another girl feeds the smaller dogs, and they just check it out for them. And yeah, that's it. That's literally our whole process.
Been there, I've seen it.
It's literally how it works.
This is literally exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what she just described is what she does.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you still using your air fryer?
Oh, okay. We got we don't use a microwave. We don't even own a microwave. Can't even tell you the last time we did have a microwave, actually. And I know that's kind of a weird thing people get Like, what? How do you not? I was actually with a friend out in California, and she was trying to buy gifts for Hanukkah for the kids last year. And she wanted to get us these little bags that you warm up in the microwave. And I was like, oh, we don't have one. And she was so bamboozled. She's like, you can't afford one? Like, I need to buy you one? And I'm like, no. Like, we don't use a microwave. I don't know how else to explain this. So we don't do that. And we found I got gifted a toaster oven, and I feel kind of silly that I never connected, like, oh, we don't have a microwave, let's just get a toaster oven so we don't have to heat up the whole oven to heat up something. I never thought about it, I guess. I don't know. I feel kind of silly saying it now, but I just never did. And so anyways, when we started eating the carnivore diet beginning of last year, I kept seeing all these amazing recipes for an air fryer. And I get it, you guys. I am always like 10 days late, $100 short. Like, I'm just always behind. I was the last person, I think, in the world to ever try an Instapot. I just tried iced coffee like, what, a month ago? Like, I am very, very behind. I get it. I understand. Everybody's talking about an air fryer. And I'm like, what is an air fryer? I genuinely don't even comprehend like what is going on. So I did some research. I learned some things, and I thought, okay, I really think that having a big like air fryer, I also, this is important, but I hate clutter and I hate stuff on my countertops. It makes me crazy. And so we had a little toaster oven that we had been gifted. But then I saw this air fryer thing, and I was like, okay, I think this would really be beneficial for doing carnivore, because so many of the things I'm seeing, they use the toaster or the air fryer, and we have a big family. So the little tiny air fryers with the basket thing, that wouldn't really be enough for all of us, especially if we're doing carnivore and trying to use it for like our whole meals, not just some side dishes or snacks. And I don't like having a bunch of junk all over my counter. So how can I like combine? All of that to say, it's a chatty coffee date, so don't leave me a comment that I talk too much, because you knew what you signed up for, okay? I always get self-conscious now. I like think of all the comments that I get of like, she talked for 3 minutes before getting into the topic. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I will be faster next time. Anyways.
This is why you don't read the comment section as often, because that sticks with you.
It does. It feels silly, but honestly,
it embeds in you, and then it alters what you feel like that day and who you feel like you can be.
Yes.
Sorry, continue.
Thank you for making me not feel crazy. I appreciate that.
So sorry, continue.
And so anyways, my long story was that I found a toaster oven air fryer at Walmart, I'm pretty sure. I think it was Walmart. And I love this thing. Somebody did tell me in a comment that we're going to get sick and die for using an air fryer. I don't really understand how air fryers make you sick. But I did see that. So maybe if somebody has some aversion or medical reason why they don't use an air fryer, I guess don't use an air fryer, but we love it. Absolutely love it. We've had the same one. We haven't bought anything different. And it works great. I use it every single day to cook bacon. I cook bacon no other way. We cook hamburgers in it. We cook chicken in it. I've cooked whole London broils in it. Our kids use it if they're just heating something up. We use it to melt butter sometimes if like we need to have melted butter for something and I need it like chop. We use it to, we use it for everything. So same toaster oven, air fryer. We love it. Sure, it's a little yuckier inside than it used to be, but it's as clean as I can get it. You know, it gets the baked on grease and the stuff that, you know, you can only do so much with after a while. But I'm also the person that will use an appliance until it literally does not work anymore. And so I don't care how banged up it gets or whatever, we will continue to use this literally until it just no longer works, because that's how I usually go about using appliances. So yep, same one, haven't changed anything. Absolutely love it. I think especially doing carnivore, it's been a huge help, because a lot of the stuff that we make, it just makes it so simple and so easy. And I'm not having to heat up the whole oven to do something real quick. And it's just quicker and more efficient. And I like things to have some crunch. And so being able to throw things in the air fryer and get like a little bit of that kind of crunch texture to it is kind of a big deal to me anyways.
Okay, so you have dozens of people who want to know, if you are still on carnivore.
Yes, yes. I did see some of those. I think it was because I posted, because I thought it was weird at first. I saw some of those comments on our back to homeschool. That's another thing, like that sometimes the comments that I get on the video, and I'm like, what did I talk about in that video that would strike up that comment? Like, that's not what the video was about. We're eating cinnamon rolls because our back to school homeschool tradition is to have cinnamon rolls. And a lot of you have been here with us for years. So you've watched our homeschool vlogs for years. They're all up on our channel, but we always do cinnamon rolls. Yes, we are still mainly carnivore. I was very strict carnivore for the first like 3 months. And then I started moving into kind of like a ketovore area where I started realizing plants that I can consume that don't upset my system. Whereas my husband, he has to stay very strict carnivore because especially he doesn't have his gallbladder anymore. Whenever he brings in any plant material, he really sees the difference in it. And our kids are they're more in that ketovore, and they have some grains and things that they bring in, but they don't have any like health issues we were trying to really address. It was more so just an overall way of eating health change for us. And so, yes, absolutely still carnivore. Can I eat certain things? None of us really felt great after eating cinnamon rolls, but I also thought it was interesting that we all ate a cinnamon roll and we're like, yeah, we're good. We're fine. Like, that was our tradition. It was a special thing. We look forward to it, but nobody was like, ooh, can I have seconds? Can I have thirds? Like, nobody even asked for anything else. It was like, yeah, okay, that was like a nice little thing, but like, we eat really low sugar. We eat very minimal grain. Like, yeah, we bring in a few things, but it's very, very minimal. And so having that was great. I kind of cycle around. So I am probably getting ready to do I've just found that I feel good. I feel good if I go really strict carnivore for like a couple months. And then I kind of bring in a couple things that I've noticed don't mess with my system. And then after a little while, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go kind of, strict a little bit just because that's where I feel good. But yes, definitely still carnivore and feeling great. I'm amazed at, again, just hormone balancing has been huge. Losing weight, we've just noticed so many different things. My PCOS is like whole new, it's like I can live again because it's just been so amazing to see the differences. So for me, the thought of going back to not eating this way really isn't even a consideration because I felt miserable. I was in pain all the time. The endometriosis and PCOS was like out of control, and it was just an awful way to live. So I have no interest to go back to that. And even sharing with my doctor, I just, had a bunch of tests run and doing different things just because I usually never ever go to a doctor unless I'm having a baby. So I was like, well, I guess I am getting closer to 40. Maybe I should, kind of do some of these things. Maybe it's that time to go to the doctor since, I never do that. And, checked all my levels, did all my things just to make sure. And so everything looks great. Everything's kind of chugging along, just fine. It looks like I do have a genetic heart condition that runs, obviously in our family. So things like that it's like, okay, it's just good to know and to keep an eye on just so, as I go and I get there, I can, be aware of this artery condition and keep up on it. But yeah, I feel great. And while I do mix in some kind of ketovore things that work for my body, I don't foresee me just wanting to like go back to any other way of eating just because, the hormone and PCOS relief in and of itself, even if I never lost a pound or I never anything else, like just that relief in and of itself is worth it to me. So much better. Mm-hmm. It's nice to not hurt all the time.
Go figure.
Yeah. Imagine that, right?
Right. Okay. This is probably the weirdest one. What barbecue sauce would Jesus use? Someone really asked what barbecue sauce Jesus would use. And since you're carnivore, I figure you might know, maybe?
Some of these are just so funny. And like there's one guy who was a professing atheist, and he asked me a whole string of questions, just being a jerk. Like, should we always be wearing formal attire so when the rapture happens, we're ready? Things like that. Does Jesus watch baseball? Or I don't know. There's like all these ridiculous questions. And so I feel like sometimes somebody is coming at you just trying to be a pain in your rear. And so, okay, fine, I'll give you a sarcastic answer. Obviously, Jesus loves baseball. Go Dodgers. And yes, you should be in black tie dress at all times to be ready. Like if you're going to be sarcastic with something that, or, if you're going to be a punk about something, then we'll be sarcastic. But I remember getting the barbecue one and I was like, I don't know how one answers this. I'm going to go with probably something pretty amazing would be my guess. I thought about answering it because I'm from California, but we live in North Carolina. If you're in North Carolina, you know that Western Carolina versus Eastern Carolina is like a whole war when it comes to barbecue sauce. And we used to do really fancy weddings and we would hire in these like world-class barbecue guys for these different things. And we would have even families that were like Western versus Eastern. And so we'd have like our big like barbecue setups for the things. So it made me think of all of that of like, I'm obviously team Western Carolina because that's where we live, but it made me think of ridiculous answers along those lines just because of that topic. But yeah, I guess it would be something pretty amazing. And I think they responded back something that went well with lamb, roasted lamb. I was like, yeah, probably. But
that would only make sense.
Right. I know. I don't really know how I'm supposed to answer some of those because I'm like, the good one? I don't know. Great question, buddy.
Okay. I'm in my mid-40s. Is it too late for me to be impactful in my home?
I love this one. Oh, wow. Yeah. I know that I kind of think about, I wouldn't say beat myself up, but like I think about, man, I became a wife and mom at 17. If only I had figured these things out then instead of at, 27 or however old I was, right? Like it was like around right before my 30s. But I think of that. I'm like, wow, like I could have made such a difference or I could have done so differently. But the thing is you are where you are. And to try to hold on to what you coulda, woulda, shoulda, you can't. Let it go. It is what it is. Every day that you wake up, with every breath that you have in your body, that's an opportunity to make an impact. That's an opportunity to make a change. That's an opportunity to serve, to share, to, whatever you have before you. And so I don't think it matters if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 60s, your 80s, your 90s, whatever it may be. Like if that's the moment that you finally get to and you get it, right? Those light bulbs go off and you go, Lord, I am so sorry. Why didn't I not understand this sooner? Well, I understand it now. So what's the impact that you can make now? And I think that when we try to shy away from it, like, it's too late for me, I think that's the enemy. I really do. I think that's Satan being there and being like, you didn't figure it out sooner. If only you would have done this for your kids. Why didn't you do this in your marriage? Why didn't you, maybe you wouldn't have ended up divorced. Maybe your kids would know the Lord. You start kind of doing all of that. That doesn't come from the Lord. That comes from the enemy. And so I think I love any opportunity that I can say, suck it, Satan. Honestly, I love any opportunity that I can look at my invisible enemy and say, I see you. I see what you're doing. Guess what? Nope, don't think so. I am going to do the best today with what I have. Even though I didn't know this yesterday, I know it today. And I'm not going to beat myself up. And the Lord's forgiven me for it. And he can still use me because he can use me up until that last dying breath. And so I'm all for it. That sounds great. So don't let that beat you up and hold you back, regardless of how old you are. It doesn't matter. We have eternity to look forward to. So how can I invest today into the eternal? Whether I have 10 years left, 100 years, whatever I have left, how can I invest in what I have today to serve in the eternal? And I'm not going to beat myself up because I know God's not up there going, why were you so late? Why didn't you do this sooner? You should have had it together, right? God's not sitting up there doing that. So if you're hearing those voices, it's because it's coming from the enemy. And I think there's something really powerful in being able to identify that as the enemy. So then you know who your enemy is, because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. It's the spiritual powers. to be able to point to that and just be like, Satan, I see what you're doing. I mean, I will say this out loud sometimes in my house when I see things going wonky, and I will be like, hold the phone. I see you. I know you're invisible and I can't like see you, but I see you and I see what you're doing. And guess what? I'm not playing your game. Kids, we're going to have a lovely day today. We're going to go have a picnic. We're all going to just jump around and skip and hop and have a wonderful time because the enemy wants us to lose our marbles right now, right? That's why I said, you know what? I'm taking the app off my phone. I'm not looking at comments. I'm not doing this because Satan wants me to go all girl boss with this and want to do all the things and get worked up about comments and blah, 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 whatever. And that's not our goal. Our goal here is to encourage families, is to equip and encourage and build others up to focus on their home and build up families in Christ. That's our focus. And if I'm getting off in these other things, I'm losing my marbles and I'm in the wrong. So I'm going to hit pause on that right quick and be like, Satan, I see you. Guess what? I'm not playing your game. And we're going to keep pressing on because if it's serving even one person, then that's where I want to be. And I think that you can look at that too and go, okay, maybe you didn't have the perfect marriage you wish you would have. Maybe you didn't raise your kids the perfect way you wish you would have. Maybe. Well, guess what? You are here today. And if there's even one that the Lord can use for you to serve in this, then amen. That, like, praise God. That's amazing. And that's what we do it for, regardless of how old any of us are.
So God knew that they would be starting this adventure at 40.
Yeah.
He already knew it.
Yep.
And like Lot's wife, you shouldn't be looking back at what you've done. You should be looking forward at where you're going and what you're supposed to be doing. You were called to go forward and continue with what the good things are that you're supposed to do and not look back at what you've done. I know this is a weird example, but like you shouldn't look back at what you've done that way, that it will destroy you.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. Please, no, it's a proverb. I think it's Solomon, but where literally it says, do not yearn for yesterday. Like it's literally a fool's journey. Like biblically it says you're a fool to be yearning for what was or what could have been. Like, let it go.
So the next ones kind of continue in with the same kind of conversation, but they morph. So
okay.
I know it's God's will for me to stay home, but how do I deal with the depression and the discouragement that I feel?
From staying at home, like from being at home, dealing with that?
I think that's what it was getting at.
Okay. I think a lot of it comes down to why do you feel depression and discouragement? Like what causes that? Because I think if we're actually really honest with ourselves about what's causing that, it's this unrealistic, unbiblical view and expectation of what our life is supposed to be and where our value comes from, right? The world tells us that our value is found in what we contribute, what we produce, what we, what our status is, what our career is. So I think there's the big difference there in understanding the root, the why. Is it just because it's this discouragement over life's not what I thought it would be? I feel unfulfilled. I hear that all the time. And it's like, well, yeah, because we've been fed this lie, this nonsense that our fulfillment comes from a career, how much money we make, the type of house we buy, whatever it is. But of course, then there's that line of if you are truly struggling with depression, if you are truly struggling with some sort of imbalance, something wrong, like go seek help for that. Whether it is in counsel, whether it is, through some sort of medication, life change, diet change, whatever it may be, like that's important. And we don't have to, kind of have this idea that, well, I just come to Jesus and therefore everything will magically be solved and life will just be perfect and I never have to worry about anything, right? That's not true. It is in a sense, but the point is we're still fallen individuals that live in a sinful, fallen world and have to deal with the reality of what that is and what that can look like. And so, I think there's a big difference. You've got to figure out the why. Why do you feel depressed at home? Why do you feel discouraged at home? What's causing that? And I think that's a lot of why I love to put out homemaker videos. I am hoping that all of those videos we put out essentially are helping you guys address that, because I don't like feeling discouraged in my homemaking. I don't like feeling those ways either. And so what are things that we can do to help that, to find the value and the beauty and the just honor it is to be tending our home? And that doesn't mean that you have to be locked within your four walls and you never get to talk to anyone else and whatever. It just means that that's where your priority, your focus, and your heart is. Hopefully that makes sense.
I think so. Would you still homeschool if you only had one child?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I know a lot of people ask that question because they do wonder if there aren't siblings and, they don't have others to, is it the siblings that make homeschool is what I feel like that question comes down to. And I say that I absolutely 1,000% would homeschool with only one child. We had a small baby when we started homeschooling. So yes, technically he had a sibling, but like we were all on board to homeschool regardless. And I think that all of the reasons for why we homeschool are absolutely the foundational reasons to why we homeschool with or without extra children. And are there some aspects of having siblings that make homeschool easier? Yeah, sure. Are there many aspects of homeschool with siblings that make it harder? Yeah, 1,000%. Like sometimes I think about the things we could do if I just had one of them. Like there's a lot of benefits that we could enjoy with just one child. Now, of course, there's things we would miss out on, but there's also things we could enjoy, right? There's a balance in that. So would I homeschool with just one? 1,000%, like no ifs, ands, or buts. Are there things that are nice about having multiples? Yes, but there's things that are nice if you just have one child. And I think that you could give one child everything that they need with just that single child. Now, it may look different for you than it does for me, right? There's things that our family doesn't do because I have no need. I've got like a circus in my house. Like I don't need to go out and take them to the circus because just our existence here in our house is a circus. Like I don't have to go seek it. Where if I had only one child, maybe there would be different opportunities and things that we would seek out and we would go do to kind of fill those spots in their education and in their life that maybe I don't have to do. I know there are families out there that even on YouTube do so with with only children, and they share that, and you can learn things from them that I would never apply in our homeschool because that would just be way too much for us. But again, I have 4 kids. If you only have one, it probably will look, the principles I think are still the same, but different things would look different because you only have one child and you have the availability to kind of go do certain things. If I set up our whole day tailored fit for one child, I could not do it. Our days would be so packed if I tried to tailor fit the whole day for each individual child. You can do that with just one. Me, I don't have enough hours in the day if I'm trying to do a tailored fit, like exactly everything they want, every single one of them. And so I think there's a lot of benefits. I think most people think of homeschooling an only child as a negative thing. I honestly think there's a lot of benefits y'all get that we don't. And not that I'm sad about it. I'm going to walk around and be like, dang it, I shouldn't have had more kids because I'd have 10 more kids if I could. But I think that it isn't a negative thing. And you absolutely should still pursue homeschool, even if you have one child, because it's about so much more than just how many kids are in your homeschool.
The why doesn't change.
Yeah.
If you're going to homeschool and you want to homeschool and God has called you to homeschool, your why has not changed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one child, if you have 500 children, your why hasn't changed. So you were called to do it regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we're at an hour though.
We are. How does it seems like it goes by so quickly. How many questions do we even get through? I think we did 8 last week, didn't we? It's 8.
I think we got to like 14 this time.
Okay.
Some of them kind of melded into others. So I think we got through about 14. But it's another hour of getting to know you.
I love this though. I love the opportunity where it's just this like I don't know, like a very relaxed, I want it to feel like, I mean, I don't know. I hope that all of our videos feel like if you came over and were hanging out at the house with me, like these are the things we'd talk about. These are the conversations we'd have, right? Like, I think that's what it should feel like. And so I think this is fun getting to do this. And Sabrina, thank you for kind of having this idea and coming on and doing all this. Cause then it's like us just sitting here chit-chatting about.
Well, it is just us sitting and chit-chatting about this. Other people just get to hear our conversations, because this is literally what we would be sitting and talking about is, well, how would we address this if this were happening in our house? Or how would we handle this if this happened? Or, well, how do you do this? Because you have the same kids that I have and I'm really stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. These are the exact conversations we have.
What do you feed your dogs? Because like, I have dogs. What do you feed yours?
And we've had raw food diet talks. And your husband thought I was insane when I was like, yes, totally feed them bones.
Oh yeah. He was like, wait, what? You just hand your dog chicken? Oh.
What?
Really? Okay.
Literally what you do. And then you've stayed in our house and watched us literally fling raw chicken out to the dogs.
Yes, we have. And it works just like that. But it's just us conversating and talking about things that we were going to talk about anyway.
Basically, yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us again here this week. I hope that this can be, I mean, at least just enjoyable, right? I mean, who doesn't like to grab a cup of coffee and have a chatty coffee date with a friend? So hopefully you guys are enjoying that aspect of it. And seriously, throughout the videos that we put out, every day we've got a new one coming out. If you're listening along and it makes you think of something that you're like, wait a second, answer me this. How exactly do you do that? Or what about this? Leave us a comment. Just put that little coffee cup next to it. So that way we know that you want your question in one of our upcoming videos. And of course, leave comments, engage, do all of that. I love it. And I think it is so important. I love hearing from you guys. We are listening and we are seeing every single one that comes through, even if it's not exactly like how I used to do it, where I'd be able to sit there every evening and just do back and forth with everybody. They do still matter, and they are such an encouragement. You guys are so uplifting and so loving, and I'm just so thankful to get the opportunity to build up this community in this space here. So some fun things ahead that we're really praying over, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So stay tuned as we figure out the pieces and get it all set up. But thank you guys for hanging out with us today, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend or whenever it is that you're watching this. And of course, join us for our next coffee dates coming up. You can watch some of the old ones if you tune into this playlist right here. Otherwise, Sabrina and I will see you all back here next week. Bye, friends.
Bye.